Ladies and gentlemen, I have a really special guest. On the line with me is the former IBO International Heavyweight Champion, former IBF Australian Heavyweight Champion, former world title contender, Kingpin Kevin Johnson.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Brian. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to take a chance to catch up with you and see what's going on in your world. I know right now you are under quarantine in Germany. How is that going with you?
A lot of face masks, a lot of hand sanitizing, but we following the restrictions and doing what it do, and just working privately to secure other little deals and keep some things under wrap to keep ourselves afloat.
Okay. So Kevin, there's a lot of things going on in this world of boxing right now. A lot of big things on this side of the pond. Definitely a lot going on your side of the pond. Tell us what you got going on right now. I understand that you have an upcoming fight.
Yeah, right now I got a fight coming up, WBA World Intercontinental fight against Agit Kabayel coming up May 15th here in Magdeburg, Germany. Still working on some real estate deals, securing my investors from Germany into American soil.
Okay.
And also coming out with my new shoe line, Feros. And it's going to be the number one top shoe sneaker brand for all athletes throughout the world. Securing everything from ankle, knees, posturepedic gestures, and different type of injuries that athletes have sustained that they need to be a little bit more orthopedic cared for. These shoes will be definitely the one for them. So definitely look forward for the launch of Feros.
Well, that's really exciting. So I'm assuming that you're going to have some information available online soon about how athletes can purchase these new shoes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm going to get back with my team, and we're going to make sure that we can have the right websites and the right scripts. And actually, I think you're the man. You're the man himself that should take care of this.
We'll certainly have more about that coming soon in our social media presence. But Kevin,
Yeah.
you've been in the sport for quite a long time. What year did you get into boxing as a professional?
As a professional, I started as an amateur in 1998. I turned pro under Daryl, Dawkins, and Larry Holmes. I turned pro under them in 2003. And then from 2003, me and my brother Brian, we started working hand in hand, and we launched off into a beautiful, adventurous professional boxing career, and a family adventurous professional boxing career. So I've been in boxing for about almost coming up short of 19 years professional.
Wow. So tell us about your relationship with Larry Holmes. Do you still have any contact with Larry?
You know what's funny? I just got a phone call from my jeweler. I was looking to get an Audemars Piguet, and I heard a lot of talk about Audemars Piguets, and over here they're very expensive because they're made in Switzerland. But in America, you can get an Audemars Piguet for 30,000-40,000. So I called my jeweler to see if he can get me one used or something like that, or secondhand that somebody just turned back in. And he said, "Guess what I got sitting here in the office? Larry Holmes getting his jewelry clean."
Wow.
So we talked for a little bit, and it's an international phone call. And I wish Larry the best, and wish Diane the best, and Mark Holmes and Jay, and all the whole team that put me in Eastern Pennsylvania, that kept me safe and secure all those years. Man, it felt good. It was like a quick homecoming.
So what's and thinking about your time that you spent with Larry, what's the most insight that he's given you? Give me one tip that Larry gave you in the ring about.
I never forget this a day in my life. 2003. I used to always train at Larry Holmes Gym off of Larry Holmes Boulevard in Easton. And Larry Holmes used to cuss me out and he used to say, "Boy, what are you doing throwing body shots?" He said, "As good as your jab is, all you should be doing is throwing a 1 and a 2." He said, "You shouldn't be throwing no body shots, none whatsoever. You should be taking them out with the jab in the right hand." And it finally made sense to me after all these years how good my jab was.
So, Kevin, what's you've been in the ring with every top major heavyweight in the world. I mean, you've been in the ring with Billy Klitschko. You've been in the ring with Anthony Joshua. Been in the ring with pretty much every top heavyweight of your era. Tell me who impresses you today. Who do you think is a top heavyweight in this?
Oh man, you gonna put me under the gun. Like, I don't want to take smoke from nobody, but if you ask who do I think is the top, it's between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and you can't leave you can't leave Deontay Wilder out because you see what he's capable of when he fought Fury the first time. He still has it. He got that one-hitter quitter. So the best heavyweights in the world right now, the best five is Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Dillian Whyte, and myself. Those are the best 5 heavyweights in the world.
Okay. So then, you open yourself up when you answer the question. Because you know I'm going to ask you. Who do you think wins that fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury?
Oh, come on. Don't do this to me, man. They both my friends, man. Like, you expect me to answer? I've been avoiding that question for over 5 years, man.
Well, I tell you what. If you don't,
I'm gonna answer it. If Tyson Fury fights Anthony Joshua, and if it's the Tyson Fury that fought Klitschko, Tyson Fury wins easily. But if the Fury that shows up that fought Wilder, good night. So I think Fury has made those adjustments, and he will never see anything like that happen again. So I would say Fury will outbox him easily. Easily. 12 rounds, unanimous. He's not going to knock him out. Just 12 rounds, unanimous decision. Definitely.
So that's the top 2. So what do you think that Deontay Wilder needs to do to get his career back on track?
Just the right trainer. He has everything in the world. He's made it to the top, and he's kept his position at the pinnacle of the top. He's maintained it for a long time just off of raw talent. That was talent, not skill. That's just talent. His natural ability of knocking people out. But now it's coming down to the grit and the grunt, the skill side. He needs a little bit more, and that's what he's making his adjustments on. And I've been with Wilder. Me and Wilder, we helped each other out for years when nobody wanted to box with him. And he used to come to Douglasville, Georgia. And I would show up on a wet and wild Saturday and Sunday just to make sure we can get it in together. And, it comes down and a little bit more than that amateur style that Mark Breland was bringing to him. Now he needs some of that Emmanuel Stewart. Now he needs some of that Teddy Atlas. Now he needs some of that Customato. You feel me? He just needs that little bit of cinnamon sprinkled on top. That's all. Just a little bit.
Wow. So that's Wilder. So here's the last question I have to ask you about other fighters. Who is the young heavyweight today that no one's paying attention to that you think everybody is sleeping on? Who's that rising star that no one else is talking about? Who you've seen, or you're saying, you know what? People need to be careful of this guy. He might could be one, as you would say. Who do you think that guy is that no one's paying attention to right now? Young heavyweight.
It's 2 of them. It's Dillian Whyte, number 1. Dillian Whyte is the number 1. Dillian Whyte is number 1. Like, Dillian Whyte is the type of guy that he would come on the scene and he would knock a Tyson Fury out. You can't sleep on him. Number two is Andy Ruiz. I've been in there with Dillian, and I've been in there with Andy Ruiz. Man, you cannot count them two out no matter what you do in your life. Like, they are the most two dangerous heavyweights in the whole division. And then you got a couple up and coming heavyweights. Like there's this young Russian guy. He's about to be the next Povetkin. There's an African heavyweight. I can't pronounce his name. Oh, I heard he's about the best raw Mike Tyson power that you've ever seen that come across the landscape. So coming up under them, there's two more coming under Dillian Whyte and Andy Ruiz. But right now, I gotta let Andy Ruiz and Dillian have the spot.
Wow. So I understand that you're not just a fighter, but you're in real estate. You also have your own boxing promotion in Germany. Tell us about working with other young fighters as a promoter. How is that going, and what do you like about that?
It was beautiful in the beginning, but at the beginning when I started, COVID-19 just hit. So it was sweet but bitter. You know, we were doing great. It was nice when you're doing shows and you're allowed to have a huge venue and supporters and people and sponsors and fans. Without fans or without sponsors, without fans you don't have the sponsors. Without sponsors you don't have the money. So it was fun in the beginning, but now we're at a stalemate. You know what I mean? So because we didn't make it to the plateau where we can get television on board yet, we didn't make it to the plateau where I can venture out on my own without sponsors. We didn't do that yet. So right now we're still sustained. Our boat is still floating. We're still on the water, and we're still set a course. We just had a show again this Saturday. Of course, no venue. I mean, no crowd, and no crowd means no television. No television means no major sponsors. So we're keeping ourselves afloat. So I don't know how to answer that one right there, because without the major ESPN or HBO or Showtime or RTL or Sky Sports, without the major television shows, man, or without Amazon or without Apple, you're drowning.
So it sounds like you're having some of the same issues that American promoters are having right now because of the pandemic.
Yes, sir. 100%. 100%.
So we know. Okay, so now we talked about your boxing career. We talked about some of what you do, business. So let's talk about the business of boxing. You've had a chance again to not only fight some of the top fighters in the world for a world heavyweight title against Klitschko, like I mentioned earlier. You've been in the ring with some of you've done business with some of the top promoters, managers, trainers. So you mentioned earlier about Deontay Wilder and trainers. Tell us how important it is to have a good trainer on your team.
Oh man, I can't nobody tell you better than myself, man, because I've had down to date, I've had 53 fights, and I know for a fact that I lost 11 fights because I didn't have a trainer. I literally went into fights without having a good trainer at all. Like after the Klitschko loss, it was like I lost my trainer, and I try to keep fighting by myself and get myself back to the top. It just didn't happen. It didn't happen. I've had 9 championship fights till today. 9 championship fights, from Klitschko to Tyson Fury to Anthony Joshua to Kubrat Pulev to Andy Ruiz to Pianetta to coming up with Agit Kabayel to Alex Leopai, and there's one more I can't think of. I've had 9 championship fights. You need you need a great trainer on your side. Not just a great trainer, a trainer who understands the skill side and the artisticness of boxing. It just depends for everybody. Everybody is different, but boxing is a skill of art. And the person who perfects the best picture will always be the person that draws the best. Always. And without that perfection of artisticness, you lose.
Wow. So so on that note, what would you tell a young fighter today about picking a trainer? avoiding some of the mistakes that you made in picking trainers. What's the best piece of advice you'd give a fighter about picking the right trainer?
Your trainer don't pick you. You pick your trainer. How do you pick your trainer? Is not by eyesight. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. And so I think you probably remember this too back in the 90s. I met a guy named Nelson Neville, the first man who gave me $1,000 worth of boxing equipment and put me on the train in Newark, New Jersey to go to Red Brick German train. He told me two things. He said, don't never let nobody tell you what you can and can't do in boxing. And he said, there's going to come a time where you can't eat and you can't sleep and you love everything about training. And at that point, you'll become a champion. And it just hit me about 2 weeks ago. And I'm 42. I'm 42. I'm 42.
So, the business side of dealing with trainers and promoters, what advice would you give to a young fighter about promoters, trainers, and just making sure that you have the right team to move your career and then to watch your back while you're in the ring?
The best thing I could tell them, and you know this as well as anybody else in the world, get you a good advisor. You don't need a manager. You don't need a lawyer. Get you a good advisor. He can be a lawyer. He can be whatever you want to call him to be. Get you a good advisor, and I promise you, you'll save a lot of money. Remember, I lost a year of my career. I didn't fight the whole year of 2004 because of a so-called manager. I lost a year. So that means I'm really supposed to have 60-something fights right now, and that year I could have made over 100,000 that year. But I missed out. Get you a good advisor that has your best interests at heart, and you'll be good. You know this as well as I did. You know, you boy.
Tell me, I want a funny story from you. Tell me the craziest encounter that you had in the sport where a promoter, a manager, or whoever. What's the craziest dealing or the funniest story you've ever had? You don't have to say any names. We can keep it confidential. Just tell us.
I'm gonna go all in.
We want to protect. We want to make sure you're.
I'm gonna go all in, and this gonna sound like a fairy tale. But once I say these first couple words, you're gonna know where I'm going. It was the night before Christmas.
Okay. Okay. I have to stop you on that story because I know where that story is going. Yeah. We're not gonna tell that story. So I want to
listen. If we gonna give the best, I'm sorry, we gotta put you in it. It was the night before Christmas, boy.
There's some legal ramifications I want to keep out of that.
Oh my goodness, man, that was the best night of my life, man. The best. Anybody asks me today, tomorrow, next year, 20 years, 30 years, 60 years, $1 million, $1 billion from now, what was the best moment of my life? The night before Christmas, boy. Whew. You know it.
So I think I just have two more questions for you. I think
I'm with you.
I think one is you mentioned earlier that you're 42 years old. Yet every time you step into the ring, you're in phenomenal shape. How have you stayed in such great conditioning and shape at this point in your career, given that by this time a lot of heavyweights have a hard time staying in championship level? What do you do?
You know what? Dedication. Finally, after 10 years of getting kicked in my ass and knocked upside my head and not listening and doing all the wrong things, being here in Germany, it's like God's way of saying, I'm gonna give you what you deserve, but I'm gonna put you in a place where you deserve it at. And being in America, it's been a little difficult to just focus and just be 100% dedicated to the art and this craft and the sport of boxing. But since I've been here in Germany, I've never been more dedicated to anything in my life, even business wise, even educational wise. You know, even though my language barriers, for God's sakes, I'm on my third freaking language. You know what I mean? It's like so much is happening here with me when I'm just zoned outside of my normal. I'm outside of my norm, and I'm more focused. I'm more dedicated. I meditate more. I pray more. I focus more. Obligated to more. Everything here, and it's like wow. It's like wow. You ever want to make God laugh? Tell him what you've had planned, because boy, he got a sense of humor for you. But that's like been the biggest thing right now. And it's like how at 42 years old, everything is like still shining down on me. For God's sakes, I'm looking at a freaking promotional contract deal coming up. I'm 42 years old. What I look like going into another 3-year promotional contract, you know?
Wow. So then that leads me to my last question, and you kind of touched on it already. You've been known inside the ring and outside the ring as being a pretty confident guy. No matter who you're going in against, no matter the hardship you went through, where does that confidence come from? How do you maintain that confidence, considering some of all the ups and downs that you talked about already? How do you still have the confidence to step in the ring, younger, hungrier fighter?
Because these young fighters don't know what an ass whooping feel like. These young fighters don't know what they're up against. I do. I come from a family of 7. I got 6 brothers and sisters, and I had a mother and a grandmama. And boy, you ever want to see what an ass whooping feel like? Grow up in my house. So when I step into the ring, these dudes ain't bringing nothing to me. They ain't doing it. My brothers and sisters, my mom and my grandmother, that was the TKO and the knockout that I've never seen coming right there. You know, like those was the ones right there. So when I step into the ring, I just gladly and proudly I got my family on my back, man. Like, you know, some of the losses that I've had wasn't losses, because anytime you can lose and come back and do something better, like I'm doing, that loss made me even stronger. You know what I mean? And once again, as nobody has ever expected or predicted this to happen, I will be fighting for another heavyweight championship of the world, 2021.
There you have it, folks. I'm here with Kingpin Kevin. Kevin, it was an honor to spend some time with you to talk about what you're doing and what's going on in your life and your career. We're going to be watching you in May when you step back into the ring. So, best of luck. Hope to hear back from you soon after that fight. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah. Yes, sir. 100%. No problem.